Hey, all right, welcome back. Welcome back. Just buzzed right through hour two right here, but don't go nowhere yet because joining us right now is Kelley Vlahos. She's the executive editor at the American Conservative, and she's ready on camera, and she says she's not here to fool around. So we're going to get some real serious commentary, I'm sure. But Kelley, thanks for joining us today on Liquid Lunch. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, I guess all the new craze is the Corona apps. We're going to supposedly have to download these apps, and they're going to take our temperature. And now today they're saying there's a new one coming out that you could spit in your phone, and it'll give you a test right away. All this stuff seems more and more Orwellian, and it's just the government getting around, the Patriot Act and the FISA court, and it's another way for them to track and trace us, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the guide here, the model, quote unquote, example here is what's going on in China. In China, it's completely involuntary. So they've created an app that just shows up on your phone, and it gives you a barcode based on public information, whether it's from the public health service, from the government, from the CCTV cameras. Everything is going into their databases, which they already have already. And anybody who pays with their phone through Alipay, which is the prominent pay system there in China, if you pay with your phone, you are automatically involved in this system, and you get a barcode, and it gives you a green, a yellow, or a red. And it's not even voluntary. So you're not saying, oh, I've been diagnosed with COVID, I'm going to offer this information. The government is determining whether or not you are free to travel around and move around based on their information. So some people are just getting red codes or green codes arbitrarily based on whatever information is in these government databases. So there are some people who can't work. They can't go anywhere. They can't move from province to province because they have a red barcode. And so this is the ultimate intrusive app, the model of complete government tyranny. But then you have apps like you mentioned that are being developed here in the United States, which are more voluntary, but as we know, they can always be abused. So you have Google and Apple working together to create a platform so that once you're diagnosed, you can voluntarily download this app, and then your information will be in a Bluetooth code that will be shared with other users in your location. And then vice versa. So you can tell just by opening up this app if there are other users in the area who have been diagnosed with COVID. It won't have their name or identify any other identifying information, but it'll be like a code that's been generated, so it'll tell you, is there a cluster in your area? Now, obviously, this is not foolproof, and there's different versions of this. There's the Bluetooth version in which you have a centralized system that's connected with the government that's doing the checking and then blasting it back to you. And then there's a more decentralized version. But let's just face it, between that and the Chinese version, we're talking about this Orwellian sort of tracing of people based on this emergency health crisis is the excuse for it.
Kelley, first of all, you should know I was just trying to look up your Twitter just now, and you could see on Twitter what people have been searching for in certain search terms because it predicts what you're going to write before you hit enter. And what comes up even before Kelley Vlahos, the American Conservative, is Kelley Vlahos' husband. So a lot of people are wondering if you're married out there. I'm just saying it's very interesting. But I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Yeah, you don't want to know what people are searching for John Tobacco.
What is it? Tell us.
Wait. We'll save that for the overtime show. But Kelley, let me ask you about voluntary apps. I mean, right now we have a situation where people who have recovered, and we're operating under the assumption that if you have the antibodies, you can't get this disease again, or at least can't spread it again. And there seems to be another study out today that says that's the case. it's silly for somebody that has the antibodies not to be able to return to work, not to be able to ride a bus or a train without a mask. What's wrong with those folks getting this voluntary app? And then if a police officer or a bus driver comes over to them, hey, you got to wear a mask, or hey, you can't be running your non-essential business. Here, take a look. I've got my antibodies. Here's my immunization certificate. I understand your concern on the mandatory front, but what's wrong with the voluntary apps?
Well, I think there's two different issues here. One is that you're talking about having some sort of papers or some sort of document that tells you that you've had COVID, that you've recovered for it, that you're immune, and then you're all clear to work. And that's a whole other issue that they're talking about in Europe right now. They're calling them immunity passports, the ability to go back to work, to move around across borders based on some proof that you have the antibodies. But then these other apps that you're talking about are more so, they're more informational, they're more about the contact tracing. So you can see in real time who has it, who's recovered in your area. So it's not so much something that you would show to an employer or a police officer or whatever. It's more, the apps are more about showing in real time where COVID people are and tracing them as they move around. And in the more intrusive cases, which are in places like, besides China, Israel, India, I think Taiwan as well, they're using cell phone data and GPS. So it tells you exactly who has COVID, where they are, and it has identifying information. And that's something I hope never, ever comes to the United States, because that's more of a government that is collecting data, and you have no idea how they're going to use it after COVID and for whatever means.
Yeah, the more they collect, the more trouble we got coming down the pike. But right. Kelley, thank you very much for joining us. You guys got to check out the American Conservative. And me and Frankie are going to take a little deeper dive into why everyone is searching Kelley Vlahos' husband on Twitter.
Not that interesting.
We're going to have you back, Kelley. Thank you so much for always being there for us.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for being there. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. And if you're watching on Facebook, stay right there. We're going to do a little overtime right now.